Welcome back, folks. Hope you're enjoying the coverage of this event so far. I'm here with TeamNRG member Brenna Ivey. Brenna, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. So we're just going to talk about a couple things about Magic, try to get everybody to know you, and about TeamNRG in general. So the first question is, how long have you been playing Magic and who taught you how to play?
So I've been playing Magic. It's kind of a two-part answer. I think it happens with a lot of us. Like we started playing when we were kids and then got back into it at a later date. So my sisters and I would, well, one of my sisters and I would kind of mess around with cards. I vividly remember having a Prodigal Sorcerer and I had no idea how it worked. And then years later, my husband and I were at his mom's house over Thanksgiving. And she had a shoebox of his old cards and was like, are you going to get this crap out of my house or what? And so we're in Oklahoma. We didn't know what to do with ourselves. We had a couple days left. So we started playing Magic and then it just stuck. Went to my first F&M like 2 months later. So
Wow.
I had known how to play a little bit. And then, we had a roommate at the time. So there started to be a bit of an arms race around the kitchen table, which turned into F&M, which turned into competitive stuff.
So your husband Greg also plays competitive Magic. What's it like living with another competitive Magic player?
It's awesome. I have a playtest partner. We battle pretty much every evening, the same way you would watch TV or whatever. So it's great having a playtest partner and someone whose strengths are a little bit different from mine because he plays different kinds of decks than I do.
So would you say you're the more controlling player or the more aggressive player?
Oh, I'm definitely the green mage in our relationship. Yeah.
So do you two tend to play more competitively or more casually? Like, do you let things go? Do you play at a competitive level even at the kitchen table?
So we will, depending on the kind of testing we're doing, like if we're just starting to get acquainted with a deck, we'll allow for takebacks. But once it starts getting closer to an event, no takebacks allowed. Play one way, right? But it is something that, we are competitive people and we really enjoy the competitive scene more so than doing kind of like store level F&M stuff, which is fun. But when you've got a lot going on, you kind of have to pick one or the other, I think. And we have definitely prioritized like traveling for Saturday all day events kind of stuff over doing during the week and F&Ms.
So one of the things about playtesting is that generally when you're not so familiar with the deck, you have to read the cards a lot more often. But that could be hard for you because I've never seen you play with English Magic cards. Why is that?
They look cool. We can usually get them, about the same price, and they look really cool. I prefer Spanish ones because I do read Spanish, but Greg's preference is Japanese, and he is, similar. I buy the groceries, he buys the Magic cards. So usually we wind up with Japanese cards.
Interesting. So what's your favorite Magic-related story that you've had at an event or with friends or otherwise?
Oh, gosh. Every tournament is every tournament you come back with a great story. Like that's the whole thing of playing Magic. You get great friends, great stories. You always have these inside jokes that you get from traveling with the same group of people and all this kind of stuff. I would say that me being, gosh, this is actually a tough question. You didn't prepare me for this one. I would say that as soon as I started kind of recognizing people, when I was first getting into it, I didn't have a great memory for like what people's names were or what people's faces were. But then as soon as I recognize someone who's like famous to me, I get so starstruck and I'll just like, oh, is that so-and-so? And so early, like I remember at a GP, I just like stared and stared and stared at this one guy, and he was Brian Kibler, and and I remember later that day one of my friends actually tweeted at him like apologizing for my rude behavior, and I was like, now I'll never live it down. So just kind of joke around with each other and that kind of thing is my favorite part of Magic.
Sure. So what's your favorite part about being on TeamNRG?
Oh, I love having it was really amazing getting approached because I've been grinding for a long time. I've been grinding in the Midwest since I want to say 2009, maybe even earlier. And so it was really cool to, even though I haven't won a GP yet, it was cool to be picked up, and it was really cool too because these were familiar faces. All the guys on TeamNRG, Joe and everybody were people who I had known and people who I respected a lot as a player. And I think that it definitely helped level me up as a player to be connected with that kind of community and to know, that I'm not just playing for me. Like there's something more on the line.
That's great. So, you said you've been grinding for a while. What was your favorite format or your favorite deck of the past that you used to play with?
Oh, my favorite of all time was I remember Mono White Kithkin,
Okay.
and I loved playing Mono White Kithkin. And this was back when I was a little bit newer of a player. Now I'm much more someone who would rather take an established deck and learn it the best to my ability. You'll see me playing Tron today at regionals. Uh, I would much rather do something like that. But earlier in my Magic career, I was much more of a brewer, and so I loved Mono-White Kithkin. But what I really loved was Gaddock Teeg. So I made what I called Sun Petal Kithkin, named after Sun Petal Grove. This is
Okay.
the green-white land at the time, and I played Zero Spectral Procession, and I played Gaddock Teegs instead, and it was great because I was able to psych people out, and they just would never play their Volcanic Fallout because they were waiting for my Spectral Procession, and I was able to just
Sure.
just kill them. It was great.
So, what do you think is one piece of advice that all Magic players need to hear, whether it's involving them leveling up or going to larger events for the first time? What's one thing that you think that Magic players need to get better at or just know in general?
I said earlier, play one way. You
Hmm.
got to practice, and you got to practice like you're at the event. You really do have to be ready for that because it can be stressful, and you want to be in the habit of you know all the little details that you don't want to ever. Oh, can we just mulligan to seven? You never do that when leading up to a tournament and getting ready for a thing. You got to play one way if you want to be
Interesting.
ready.
So, our last question is: what are some misconceptions you think that non-Magic players have about the game, and how would you like to fix those misconceptions?
So actually, one thing that's really cool is I actually talk about magic all the time, even
Hmm.
with people who don't play magic, and you find out that lots of people do play or really are interested. But I think that sometimes we, as magic players, think it's like this kind of dorky thing or something like that, and it really isn't. And I would say that that's one of the misconceptions people do have, especially that I've found playing in the competitive sphere. A lot of the guys that we play with, and a lot of guys and women as well, are ex-athletes or they're very competitive, and they're like,
Sure.
it's kind of a nerd pastime. Right?
Sure.
And I think that that's something that people don't really, people on the outside of the game don't really know. Is it's like everybody plays Magic, and it scratches that competitive itch for a lot of us that used to be sports or used to be anything else. And I think that really it's the same as far as fixing it. Just talk about what you love. I mentioned on my very first day starting a new job that I played Magic, and we play Magic on our lunch break now. So
Great. Well, Brenna, thank you so much for spending the time. We hope you liked this interview with Brenna Ivey, and make sure to stay tuned to Nerd Rage Gaming Live all day for more interviews with Team NRG members. Thanks so much.